You don't wake up knowing markets, kid. Everybody starts brand new. First you learn what moves, what waits, and what risk can really do. No racing clocks, no magic tricks, no get rich overnight. Just learning how to place a trade and sleep cozy and tight. No shortcuts, no loud claims, just rules you understand. Know what you're risking, know your why. Keep a steady hand. One trade at a time, that's how it's done. Slow is smooth and smooth is smart. You learn before you earn, my friend. That's how confidence starts. This ain't a sprint, it's a longer game. So pull up a chair and plan. Welcome to Options for Beginners with Dan.
Dan, we're back.
All right, we are back. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the beginners. Part of beginners is I take, I've been teaching for a while just because I'm older. So when you're older and you say you've been teaching, yeah, you must have been doing this a while. But the thing is, a lot of different ways to teach, right? I mean, to me, there's so much at this phase of the options business. People can industry. There's a lot of good stuff online. There's some books out there. I mean, we teach some of the basics, but I think part of it is if someone's not willing to go and maybe get some basic, learn, right? What is a call? What is a put? Would you agree? They're probably not. That's kind of a test to me sometimes. Are you willing to go take a little bit of time to learn what is a call? That shows if someone's interested in learning it versus I just want the money, right? Show me the money, right? Don't you love that? So today we're going to take just the fact that folks that we have maybe the biggest stock out there in terms of what can affect the market, NVIDIA, which started on NVIDIA started with three of the gentlemen, I believe. If I butcher the story too much, folks, let me know. But they met at a Denny's in I forget the town. It's in the Silicon Valley. I actually had breakfast there. I was doing a seminar, had breakfast. Denny's is any place that you can get breakfast for $1.99, you got to think twice. You got to, hey, now what is what, like, when you go, Troy and his son Nolan, who's a buddy of mine, they go to Waffle House. If you got a full, let's just say you go in there by yourself after the show, you get a nice breakfast with coffee. What are we talking at Waffle House?
Maybe $10-12.
All right. But you're full when you're going out. You're not.
Oh yeah, it's plenty of food. Now, people, it's gotten more expensive with inflation. Maybe might be closer to 15 after tip and all that stuff. But
yeah, and that's what on Sammy's. There's right down the street. There's three brothers that have all opened competing restaurants. Am I right on that? But the breakfast, it fills you. It's pretty basic, eggs, bacon. You're in the South, so you got biscuit, potatoes, and then coffee. But you can get out of there for, as Troy said, it could be 13 to 15 on the high end or something. Anyways, don't want to talk too much breakfast now. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at NVIDIA. But we're going to give from a beginner perspective, how do you play this game called earnings? What are some things to think about, and how can you play it very cheaply? And I'm going to give two ideas. Troy is one of the best captains in the business. He'll drive. How many think that Troy could be, I picture Troy, but Troy's way too nice a guy, but I'm looking at those guys that they drive the ships in Russia. Are the deadliest catch. You've seen that, haven't you? But I just picture Troy. He's on there, 42-foot waves. He's got the cigar going. But those guys are just, when you think of rough guys, if there's guys that I would walk down in the west side of Chicago at 2 a.m, it'd be guys from Deadliest Catch, and it'd be USA hockey players.
Oh yeah,
that's it. Those guys.
That's all you need.
Yeah, that's all. That's all you need. If they get their teeth knocked out, what's the big deal? I mean, how many guys, if that happened, now tell me, I love basketball. Jack Hughes, correct me or whatever they use, he gets his teeth knocked out. He doesn't blink. He keeps playing. If LeBron, right, and or I'll go somewhere else because I know that's stepping on Troy's. If LeBron, one of these guys got their teeth during a championship game, I mean, that would be like the end of the world.
They would shut. Yeah, they'd shut
it down. They'd shut the game down.
Sure.
So yeah. So, anyways, let's take a look. Let's set the stage. Troy's going to look at. We're going to do a cheap play for NVIDIA. We're going to look at. Let's set up the trade. This is courtesy of shout out to Amit. He was looking at this. We'll set it up and I'll explain it. The trade is we're going in Feb 27. So in NVIDIA, if you want to play earnings, there is nothing that expires tomorrow, right? You have a Feb 20. So NVIDIA's earnings are coming out tonight. Let's just set the stage. They're coming out tonight after the close. So they'll hit in the morning tomorrow. So Thursday, it'll be affected. Number one. Number two, the expected move, and we talked about this on a previous show, the expected move is about $11. How do you get that? How do you know that they're expecting a move of about 11? How about if we have Troy model the, well, since you have 2 day, you'll get close to it. If you model the at the money straddle. So we're at 196.29 right now in NVIDIA. So if we buy an at the money call and an at the money put, that's the straddle. Now, the only thing, Troy, we don't have a 196. They've got a 190.
I'm going to split the difference.
Yeah, they got a 195 and a 197.5.
Yeah, I'm going to split the difference because I think it'll give you an idea.
Yeah. So by buying that, yeah, Troy, why don't you talk through that?
Well, again, looking at it, you said it's at about $11. So, I mean, this puts you 2 days out, puts you a little bit bigger move, but you get the idea that it's, it's in there anywhere between on the 2 day 184 and 196. So 12 points and then 12 points to the upside. So pretty close for 2 days.
Yeah. And again, folks, this is like buying tickets for Michael Jordan's last game that he ever plays in his life. And you know it. And then, and so you're willing to pay outrageous amounts. And then an hour later, he says, you know what? I just thought about it. I'm going to play another 4 years. That ticket goes from 1,000 to 0. And when you look at earnings, you say, Dan, that's a little stretch with that analogy. And I say, it is a little stretch with that analogy, but it's the same concept where what Troy just modeled costs, what is that, $1,000 about, a little more?
Yeah, about 1,055.
Yeah, so Troy was modeling buying a strangle out of the money call and an out of the money put, right? But it's saying for you to break even, let me just say this in Spanish and English, for you to break even on this trade on Friday's expiration, we need a $12 move to break even, right? You say, why is that? Because everybody knows it's public information. You have NVIDIA's earnings tonight, right? So people are willing to pay more for these 2 day calls, more for these 2 day puts, because there's a bigger expected move. So with that being said, you don't generally want to do a strategy like this because you're paying through the nose. And the only way you would make money on this is if it went way, way, way past the expected move. But it's just not, it's not a high probability type event. And so the way to start, and again, the other thing, just big picture before we nail these two strategies, is look at earnings, folks, like a binary event. This isn't, I don't care if you tell me, Dan, I like NVIDIA for my daughter's education. I like NVIDIA next week. I like NVIDIA. I don't argue any of that. This is not any of that. This is, what is NVIDIA tonight? And they have like kind of a cheerleader, their head guy at NVIDIA. He's always in his calls. It's just, we're the best, you're the best, we're the best, we're the best, all that. So he's going to come out and get everybody jacked up. But what it comes to is this, folks. This is a binary event. It's going to close at a certain price today. Right now, it's at 196. Let's say we close at 196. It'll open at a certain price tomorrow morning. That's it, right? There's nothing in between. There's no adjusting. So, and that's the trade right now. This expiration is Feb 27. It continues till Friday, but it's a binary event. So that's you're betting. So getting, as Cool Hand Luke would talk about, getting your mind right. The bet here is, do I think it's going to move more or less?
That's right.
than the expected move, 11 or 12 bucks. Start there. So you say, Dan, what if I think it's going to move more or move to the expected move? Generally what people do on these things, you could buy a vertical debit spread in the calls or puts. Cheap shots, we're going to show you one for about 70, 75 cents. You're looking for a 200% move, right? Now,
Yep.
I would like to, at some point, back test with Troy. I think there's some opportunity for calendars. They're a little tricky. And they've just added in Options Omega where you can do the modeling, and Rusty's bringing in the modeling for some of the big stocks. He did Microsoft first and then NVIDIA. So to make a long story short, for a beginner, have fun with this. You're going to take less than $100. You're going to go for about 100 to 200 or more percent. And so you look at this and you say, there's different ways you can do it. Some people will take contrarian, right? And say, okay, we've been up 10% in NVIDIA in the last week or so. Okay, let's say we take a contrarian and go the put side. You can go call side, or you can do both. But let's just take the put side. If we buy the 190 put and sell the 187.5 put, so let's model that in the puts, Feb 27, and the short put is basically going near the expected move, right? So you're kind of putting that short put near the expected move, and you make it 2.5 wide. So what's that costing, Troy? 74 bucks.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's wonderful is you're in the game, right? You may be at LeBron's, a Laker game, and you may be sitting up in the rafters, but you're there, right?
Right.
You're there. You probably this would be the equivalent of standing room only. But here's the key: if this goes down near the expected move on the downside, Troy, why don't you talk a little bit about potential profits here? And again,
you're playing. You're playing the move. You're playing that it goes past that expected move. And so, you're risking a very small amount to maybe cap it at 242%. Again, all that stuff. And the nice thing about this is because it's a spread, the vol crush. If you get that move, the vol crush isn't going to hurt you that much.
That's right.
It's you've got the spread built in, and the spread is kind of the vol killer a lot of times. So
and the other thing is you could because this is a short delta trade. What are the deltas starting out on this, Troy? You're starting out.
-5. So
-5.
But
you also and you also could say, well, you think it could go down, but what if you want to be in a situation where you don't need it to go down as much to make money? Troy, what if you bring it to, like, instead of the 190.87.5, make it 192, 190? So now you pay probably a little bit more, right?
Yep.
You pay a tinge more, another $10, $12.
Little less profit.
Yeah.
A little less max profit, but you got less to go. That's the trade-off.
Yeah. For $10. But the key, folks, I can't say this more adamantly, right? That because it's a binary event, you have to assume whatever trade you're looking at that, hey, you know what, Dan? I could lose the whole thing. So the way you do your sizing, if I'm only willing to risk $100, right? I don't have this mentality in SPX, right? If Troy's doing a double calendar, or we're doing you don't have that mentality. You're willing to do a little bit more size. But here, because it's a binary event, If I'm willing to risk $100, I'll do one of these. If I'm willing to risk $300, I'll do three. Now, real quick, a couple other things. So let's go back to the original 190, 187. I just want to do two more things, folks, and I'll let you go. So the 190.87. So we're going to go back to the original put side. But what if somebody says, you know what, Dan? I think we'll move about $10 or whatever, but I don't know which way. And I will say, me too. I don't know either. So what if we go to the upside, Troy? Or what if we do this? What if we come a little closer on both sides? So the upside, the downside, let's go back to what we had, right? And because again, folks, let's just take a look at this. So we're going to go 192, 190. So we don't need as big a move. And on the upside, let's go, even if the expected move is 11, Troy, let's go up to let's sell something like 204 or 205 and then buy a strike before that 2.5. So this would be like a reverse iron condor.
We don't have a 204. We've got a 202 and the 205.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah, okay. Buy the 202. And this would be, right, Troy, wouldn't you call this a Rick, right?
Yeah, it's a reverse iron condor.
Yeah, and Troy, why don't you so this would be for someone that's a little more, you're spending $172 as your risk, right? That's it.
Yeah, you're risking, you're kind of risking two to make one is the way to look at it with this. But you've got both sides covered at that point. And so, if we go the expected move, if we drop down, not much, if we go within the expected move, make a quick 45, 46%, on that. And that's, nothing to sneeze at. And so that's kind of the trade-off, but that's a very small, again, you're risking $167. You're not, not having to deal with anything.
Yeah. And the other thing is kind of a practical way, folks, you might look at this as, well, wait a second. Earnings will come out tomorrow morning. There'll still be almost 2 full days that this is going till, right? All day Thursday and Friday. This doesn't expire till Friday. So let's see if we can simulate for a second, Troy, on the opening. If we're wrong and we're in that sea of death in the red area, we could get out in the morning. But here's the other thing. What can we expect to make tomorrow? Do we need to hold it till expiration? Troy, let's simulate if we go to, let's say, an hour or two after the market opens tomorrow, and take the vol down, some. Yeah. So you see, folks, here's the interesting thing. If we go into our corners, right, our goal, since we're just getting off the Olympic hockey, if we get in the nets either on the left or the right, if we get in that corner, it's really making you move farther, right? Whereas if we go till Friday, watch if Troy moves it till Friday. As you start getting closer to Friday, you don't need as much room. So in a way, you would like to, if it made a move, you'd like to get out of it tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
But if we make the expected move tomorrow morning and you go into the grocery store, they're going to say, you know what? Come back on Friday. It's not there.
Yeah. And Dan, I would say a trade like this, the nice thing about a trade like this is, what's going to be a lot cheaper tomorrow morning about 10 a.m.?
Oh, yeah.
Especially if we don't move. And so this would be one that even tomorrow morning, I mean, we might look at it on the OO show a little bit.
That's a good point, because it's like the after a tsunami, you have the effects after. And here, after the earnings tomorrow, they got 2 days this thing could move as people start making their assessments on what's going on.
Well, I think last time NVIDIA, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I went up like $10, $11 on the move. Well, the next day it opened up and immediately kind of gave everything back. Well, if you did this at the open, you got a cheaper move, and a higher payoff.
That's a good point. Tomorrow, maybe we'll look at that in the OO show. And that's a good one. And but the other thing is, I think if you ask me net for beginners, I think a vertical debit spread, like 2.5 wide in here, you're risking $75. Pick a direction, right? I'm more contrarian in nature. I might go puts, which means it might go up. But the bottom line is when you hit one of these, you're making minimum 100%. So but again, you can come back again because, hey, you're only risking what you can lose, $76. So let's go. Let's look at one last thing.
Sure.
And we'll let you guys go. Let's look at, so what I want to do, folks, is what if my opinion is for a small account? What if my opinion is, you know what, Dan? I don't think we're going to move the expected move of $11 in NVIDIA. I think we'll move less. Many times it's move more. So I do think as your plain earnings, should you look at the last 10 earnings and see what's going on? Yes, that's your due diligence. So the question is, what if I don't think it's going to move the expected move? I'm going to look at a iron condor. That's a call credit spread out of the money, put credit spread out of the money, and let's just go in there and look at a Feb 27, do a 10 delta iron condor, and you're going to do it 5 wide. So we're going to sell a call and put 10 deltas, buy your strikes 5 wide, and let's just take a look at this trade. All right. So here's a key to remember. Is the implied volatility, is that its starting point? Okay, so everything is all right, starting point. So the key here is if you look at where our short strikes are, the short strikes are what, Troy? What are the calls?
I keep muting myself, sorry. The shorts are 175 and 215.
175 and 215, and we're currently at 196.
Yep.
So think about it, folks. The expected move is 11. Twice the expected move, or you're talking $22, $23. How many points are we getting to the short strike? On the downside, 21, and on the upside, 19.
Yep.
That's giving you, so you're getting a lot of room. Agree? You're getting almost twice the expected move. Now, is this as exciting as a vertical spread or a RIC? No, right? But you look at this, Troy, what's the credit here? $60?
Yeah, $60.
So let's, folks, we're bringing in $60. Our risk is, these are 5 wide spreads, so 500 minus 60 would be $440, right? Is that right? $440. So if we make $60, right, divided by 240, that's not chopped liver, right? That's 25% return, right? Your risk is, this is much more than the vertical of $75. That's why I recommend for beginners, take a shot, do a vertical. This is going to be a $440 trade. So if I'm willing to risk $500, I do one of these. If I'm willing to risk 1,000, I do 2. But here's the key. You've got almost twice the expected move.
Yeah.
Right now, the kicker is this is a different feel that you still have 2 days to go to earnings. Stocks that come out Thursday after the close for earning, the next day it's over. Here, you still have 2 days. But I think this is this might be a way. Now, if you said, hey, Dan, I don't need that much room. I don't think NVIDIA is moving more than $6. Well, now you're talking turkey. Now you're talking, so let's bring it in, Troy. Bring in your shorts to like 205 on the upside, 5 wide, and maybe 185 or 186 on the downside, 5 wide. So you can bring in more credit.
There's no 5 wide on that one, so you have to be a little careful with the.
Okay, so pick a 5 wide that, let's say we think we're going to
202, 207 there.
Yeah, let's say we think it's only going to move 6 or 7 points at the most.
Yeah, and so you could do 190, 185 there.
Yeah. What are the deltas of the shorts, Troy?
22 on the put side, 35 on the call side.
Okay. 35 on the call side. Go a little bit.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say maybe go a lower delta on the call side.
Yeah, actually, let me do this. Let me try to do. It's moving a little bit, so let me try to do the 30 delta. You want to try to keep it. So let's do 1.5.
We did a 10 delta to start with, so now maybe go 20 to 25.
215. Yeah. There you go.
Okay. Now what's the credit?
149 credit.
Yeah. So now it's almost $150 credit, folks. Your risk is 5 minus 150. So now your risk is only 350. But right, so you're bringing much higher yield potential, much higher profit, but you don't have as much room, right? But you're making, again, this is a binary event. You're saying, hey, you know what? I don't think we're going to move more than $6 or $7. So different ways you can skin the cat. But again, so let's just leave you with something. I would recommend for beginners or smaller traders, especially beginners until you get used to it, you can do a $75 trade in NVIDIA for earnings. Just use a vertical debit spread, one way or the other, right? And number two, on any trade, keep your sizing. You have to, in a binary event, you have to assume I could lose everything. So make your size, don't get, hey, if I do 10 of these, but if you do 10 of these, the vertical debit spreads, that'd be $750. Can you handle, as Jack Nicholson says, can you handle the truth of losing? You say, no, I can't. Then don't do it. So sizing is important with these. So folks, I hope that was helpful, and we'll maybe model these, and then we can at least look at it Friday and see what happened.
Yeah.
I'll put one of these on, and we'll look at it. But again, folks, I think could this be over some people's heads? It could, but I think as you're seeing examples, you'll get more comfortable. If you have questions, type or go into the Discord or get questions to the show. We'll be happy to go over those. But I think this is, at least getting an understanding of what earnings is about. This isn't the Wild West, and I wouldn't do any naked options, right? Because again,
for sure,
preservation of capital, keep your trade small. So anyways, thank you, Troy, for
you're the man.
Driving the ship. I'm trying to think, Troy, do you remember in the Deadliest Catch, the guy's name, the blonde guy? Do you remember his name?
No, but that's a great
idea. I love these guys are just like they're the warriors.
I know.
So have a good day, everybody. We'll be back on